The question of what is Bethesda Game Studios working on next can seem like a bit of a spoiled question, if you will, when we know very likely there's going to be a rumored Oblivion remake that's coming out in less than 30 days, which is absolutely insane. We have Elder Scrolls 6, of course, coming shortly after that. We do know that Fallout 5 is on the agenda much further down the road. There's Starfield DLC that's being worked on as well, which is probably going to be a larger in size DLC along the same terms of a Dragonborn, where you're going to a vast new region with a lot of stuff to do, right? There's plenty on the horizon. It's going to keep Bethesda occupied for quite some time, but there's some distinct shifting priorities going on ever since the Microsoft acquisition. I mean, you think even to the closures of Arcane Austin, which now we probably won't ever see a Prey sequel, even though that was my personal favorite Arcane game, and Tango Gameworks, after they just released the monumentally successful Hi-Fi Rush, that was a shadow drop, and there's shifting priorities there too. That is worth looking into and speculating about. And if you like speculation, you like Bethesda Game Studios and other fantasy RPGs, keep it tuned, consider subscribing, like the video, and share it out to more people. Let's grow a little bit. That'd be awesome. Bethesda Game Studios is in a very interesting position. A lot of people point directly to Todd Howard and say that he is one of the core problems right now at Bethesda Game Studios, that he is the reason why things get held up. And this isn't just speculation. This is coming directly from former Bethesda employees.
He's struggled throughout his entire career in this letting go process. I mean, if what I said earlier is, yeah, light touch on everything and then deep dives into things he wanted. That's a light touch literally on everything, which means that one of the issues that the studio struggled with occasionally was, well, we can't move forward because Todd hasn't had a chance to look at it. Now, obviously, this wasn't something that was, completely a blocker, because the games got produced on time.
Yeah.
Which is not a common thing to happen in the industry, to, have it done excellent.
And then, of course, when it comes to Todd, there's a selectiveness on the projects that get worked on, which I can both respect and I can be a little bit upset with, because that's the reason why we're waiting potentially 16 years between Elder Scrolls games. On the one hand, Todd's selectiveness, he mentioned during interviews as we were leading up to the Fallout TV show, how a lot of people had come to him to pitch Elder Scrolls and Fallout shows and movies and spin-offs in media, and he refused them because it wasn't the right project, it wasn't the right studio, it wasn't the right time or ideas for them. And then, of course, Jonathan Nolan comes through, pitches his idea with Amazon, and the end result of Todd being as selective as he was some of the best television that we've gotten in recent years. And credit where credit's due to the man. He must get like 3 hours of sleep a night in some way, shape, or form. This man is bouncing between the executive producer on Indiana Jones and its DLC, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, the Oblivion Remake, working on the Fallout TV show, and you don't have someone working that hard across all these projects if they're not passionate about it. And for the folks who are saying Todd Howard needs to step down, probably needs to shorten the scope of projects he works on, absolutely. Stepping down, I'm not sure I'm fully on board with that at all. However, I do understand how the bottlenecking of him at the top is becoming a problem, especially when it's leading to 16 years between releases or more. And now with the Xbox acquisition, we see suddenly that there's an Oblivion remaster, and there's rumors from those leaked court documents, which of course plans can shift and they can change, but there were at the time plans for a Fallout 3 remaster. There could potentially be Morrowind sometime in the future, maybe bringing over Fallout 1 and 2 into the 3D space, which is another project that I'm sure a lot of fans would love to see. And beyond that, there's a much wider opportunity for spin-offs. Sure, we might never see the Obsidian Fallout New Vegas 2 that a lot of fans are desperately hoping for. Obsidian absolutely has their hands full between the Outer Worlds and Avowed, but even if it's not in the same vein as a mainline entry, a Fallout New Vegas 2, if you will, the opportunity for other studios to get the license to the Elder Scrolls universe or to the Fallout universe. I think of, for example, Saber Interactive working on, those are the devs who just made Warhammer Space Marine 2, working on an Elder Scrolls project where you're trapped in Oblivion and you and 4 of your friends are going through and slaying hordes of Daedra to try to survive and escape from this plane. That would be sick. I think of another Fallout Tactics game as well. I think of spin-offs that take place during some of the time periods we've already experienced in Elder Scrolls. For example, we had the DLC for Skyrim that took place in Morrowind, but instead of just visiting the island of Solstheim, if a partner studio was able to make a fully fleshed out experience that showcased what was going on in Morrowind, all of Morrowind, not just one island, during the events of Skyrim in a proper full spin-off entry into the world. And not only would this allow Bethesda to live up to some of the wishes that Todd Howard has had. He stated during interviews he wishes the release time between games was shorter, but they're just simply not. And we do know that game development time has gotten longer. That's just part of games getting as massive as they have over the past several years. But it's an ongoing thing that I'm seeing with Bethesda where they say one thing and then do the other. They say we want to shorten the amount of time between releases, but they don't really do anything about it. And it wasn't until Microsoft stepped in, because Todd Howard's opinion on remakes, for example, was that you can go back and play Oblivion on the Xbox Series X, upscaled to 4K at 60 frames per second. But Microsoft steps in, likely, and says, hey, we're actually going to get this off the ground because, one, we paid $7.5 billion, let's not forget that fact, and then additionally, they see the demand for it and they have the resources and the capital to get a studio like Virtuos to make it happen. Are we going to see annual releases from Bethesda or from a Bethesda IP? Absolutely not. But is the future looking bright for the studio and those IPs? I do think so, especially with Xbox on board, that's sort of pushing the needle forward to make some of these projects that fans have been dreaming of and trying to pitch to Bethesda for what feels like a long time. Of course, a lot of this dependent on the success of the alleged Oblivion remake that is coming just next month. And if that does well, which I suspect it will, on the fact alone that Elder Scrolls fans are starved for a new game to play, I am ultimately feeling hopeful and optimistic about the future of these franchises moving forward. I'm still monumentally nervous about the Elder Scrolls 6. There's a lot of concerns that I have about Bethesda sort of taking it in the wrong direction and trying to focus on the wrong things. But we'll have to wait and see as far as that goes. But anyway, if you enjoyed, please do consider liking, subscribe if you want some more. And as always, I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.